This video is presented by Sailrite. We'll be making a snap-on window curtain panel in this video for our boat. This window curtain panel is insulated on the inside with foam, and it also allows light to flow through. If you live aboard a boat in the winter, it's always a battle to limit the heat loss. Large windows, such as those found on trawlers and houseboats, seem to have a built-in convection draft that sucks heat right out of boats. Hanging curtains and drapes provide some measure of relief, but on really cold and windy days, the problem persists. Dan Smith, an employee of Sailrite working with some customers, came up with a novel solution that is very effective. By using Sunbrella shadow fabric, you can place that on both sides of the foam, and that creates a curtain that is both a privacy and insulator and also allows light to flow through. And now, because Sailrite carries the YKK SNAD, there's no need to drill a hole in your fiberglass or window application to install a snap stud. The YKK SNAD sticks very well to fiberglass surfaces or even your window for those very large applications where you want to stick the panel directly to the window. Now that you've seen a preview of the steps required, let's get started and show you how to build it from start to finish.
For our application, we're going to go around the outside of this small window. This will change depending on your boat. The size of the window that you're using and the shape of the window. We could actually go across all of this and just put snads here, and use one piece if that was what we were looking for. There's a lot of room for you to think out how you want your project to turn out.
As Matt Borden stated, all you need to do now is just cut some patterning material and determine exactly how you want your window cover panel to fit.
Reasonably close to what we're going to be working with. That looks like pretty reasonable, and I think we'll tape it in place and make our marks. And we want it larger than the area we're going. That way, when we make our marks, we can cut around the edge.
You can either have it fit directly on top of the window, only covering the window, and install the snads directly to the window, or you can install the snads on the outside of the window, whether the window is sunken or whether it's flush like it is here.
We're going to leave room for snads around the edge here. And then we're going to come straight across. We'll have a snad in each corner. It should be reasonable for our application. And I believe they're about 1.5 inches round. We'll just make a mark here, start her straight.
If your windows have screw locks or hinges that protrude out from the hull of the boat, obviously this sort of panel will not work exceptionally well for those applications. But for windows that are flush like this, or windows that are sunken into the hull, it'll work great. For windows which have screw-down locks or hinges that protrude out from the hull, you could still install this panel. You would just have to install it and pattern it for the actual shape of the window, and then install your snad directly to the window rather than the fiberglass hull, as we're going to do.
Then we'll connect the straight lines, cut out our pattern, and use that to make our window shade. I'm going to take a measurement here. It looks like I'm working right at about 11 1/8 inches on both of these. So I am going to just continue these lines on.
We're using the Dura Skrim pattern material from Sailrite. Then we just simply take scissors and cut that to size. If you'd like to fair up the round corners, you can take an object like this masking tape here and take your marker and make those all the same. When we're happy with the patterning material, then we'll take it to our material. This is Sunbrella Shadow, and we just trace around the pattern material. We're just using a pencil to do this. Notice that we've taped it on the fabric. This Sunbrella Shadow material is rather soft, so you got to be careful not to stretch or to shrink the fabric as you trace it. You'll need to do the same thing when you sew it down. Now we'll create the second pattern next to it. We'll be using a packing material foam to create the insulation for the center of our window assembly.
Next we'll mark out our packing material.
You can pick up this foam at a UPS store or a mailbox store. It cuts simply with scissors. To cut the Sunbrella Shadow, we'll use the Engel Professional Hotknife with the R blade. Since we're going to be placing binding around the perimeter of this fabric assembly, you could use scissors to cut it out. It will unravel a little bit, but the binding will finish the edge. Since both the Sunbrella shadow and this packing foam will stretch, we're going to apply double-sided tape around the perimeter of the foam on both sides. This is part number 129. This double-sided tape will help us to keep our panels positioned appropriately when we take them to the sewing machine and sew them together. We peel off the paper, revealing the glue, and then carefully baste the Sunbrella shadow panel to the top side of the foam. Be careful to line up all edges and don't stretch or shrink the Sunbrella shadow material because it will stretch. Lay it on nice and flat. Take your time here. Okay, once you're done, be sure you're happy, and if you have to, you can always peel up an edge and reapply it if it's not totally flat or if it is stretched slightly. Now we'll do the same thing to the opposite side. We'll not show that whole process there. If anything isn't perfectly even, because of the fact that we patterned each one of these individually, you can take scissors and trim it to size. Now let's take it to the boat and see how it's going to fit.
Just to make sure our patterning is correct. And it looks like we're going to end up just fine. But our marks still have light coming through. And we've got the insulation factor for both summer and winter.
We're going to sew around the outer perimeter with the longest straight stitch possible. This is a 6mm, and we're using the Ultrafeed LSZ sewing machines to sew it. This ensures that everything is going to stay in place. Even though we do have double-sided tape between the panels, we want to make sure that nothing creeps on us when we're installing the binding. So we're installing the stitch, or sewing the stitch I should say, right along the outer edge as far over as possible so that it is covered with the binding when we come to that step.
We're going to switch to a zigzag, put it about a 4mm stitch.
You can sew the binding with a straight stitch, but we like to sew a zigzag, especially when we have fairly tight curves at the corners, because that ensures that we're going to catch the binding and also the fabric.
The binder's all the way up.
We start sewing the binding near the center of the panel, on either the top edge or the bottom edge. Doesn't really matter. And then just keep that fabric up into the binder. And then when you come to the corner, go slow and walk it around the corner. It's pretty simple with the 1-inch swing away binder, as you see here. For our application, we're going to install 4 snaps at the corner. That's the next step. So we're going to install these snaps for the YKK SNAD installation that we'll be using on the boat.
We're going to just barely hide these in here. So I am going to take this. You can see where that's at, where it's hidden, and I am going to make just a spot to put my snap. And I'm going to do that in all 4
Because
corners.
the SNAD is not installed to the boat, we can install the snaps to the actual application, then snap the SNADs to the snap, and then apply those to the boat.
In there. Rubber. That on. Notice they line up well. We're going to find our mark. We're going to put it right on our mark. We're going to apply the pressure. How well that
if you don't have the press and snap tool, you can use one of the less expensive snap fastener installation
now, when
tools.
We're going to go ahead and install these right on here, and then when installed, it'll hide these right behind. And we're just going to snap this right on here. Snap our snads on.
We'll now take this to the boat and get ready to install it. Be sure to clean your surface with an alcohol prep pad or rubbing alcohol on a rag.
And now we will just, we're going to start on one side. And then we'll pull it across to the other. Peel these off here. And that top part is our line.
You'll notice that this curtain panel allows some light to filter through, so you don't get a dark cabin. The YKK SNAD works great because you don't have to drill any holes in your boat. Just simply peel off the transfer paper, revealing the 3M adhesive glue, and these things stick like gangbusters.
Right along that line.
That should accomplish our goal of insulating and also allowing light to filter through, and it also makes great privacy windows. If you're looking for a sleek curtain and you don't want to install a curtain track, you may want to consider installing these curtain panels in lieu of the curtain track, which can sometimes be obtrusive and may not look as good. It's up to you. There are many choices. I'm Eric Grant from Sailrite. Thanks for watching this video. Bye-bye.